One and all, as we celebrate the magic of women in cinema at our Film Coven. We're your hosts, Kelli Mehan
and Melissa Woody, and today we're doing a double feature of Grease and Grease 2.
Oh,
how's it going,
it's
Kelli?
Going great. It's a new year. We've got a new intro, new look, new us. It's possibly, I'd say, like a new season of Film Coven, because we've really planned out the year already with what we want to do and all the exciting things we want to bring to you guys.
Welcome to what we're sure will be our greatest year.
So yeah, welcome to season 2. How's that sound?
I got chills, they're multiplying.
I'm excited. Excited to be back.
Absolutely, and like, what a way to kick off. We said we wanted to start with a real bang, a fun time, and an absolute genre that you and I really love is musicals. So we're starting today with, I think, what is a person's defining, like a lot of people's first musical, and like one of those ones that I feel like we watch at a young age and like probably don't understand a lot of it, but it's just so upbeat, so fun. We're going to talk about Grease first, and then my most ultimate guilty pleasure, Grease 2. As I said to Ella the other day, I'm like, we're doing Grease, and he goes, you could do Grease 2? I'm like, duh. Like, when else am I ever going to say all my thoughts, feelings, and elocutions about this movie? It is happening today. Let's kick it off with Grease.
This was like the sleepover movie. Like, and I probably have seen this movie a million times. Like, it's definitely one of those movies that, like, yeah, I have seen so many times. It's crazy. And yeah, it's so funny rewatching it as an adult because it is such an adult movie. It feels like very much like pop songs that you hear on the radio, but you don't really like listen to the lyrics or understand the lyrics as like a kid. And then that's very much what's happening here with Grease. It's like you're watching it as an adult and you're like, oh my God, the chicks will cream.
The chicks will cream.
I feel like every time I hear Grease Lightning, I'm like learning more words to it, because I reckon as a kid I used to just like mumble and like not make any like, or just make things up. And now when I'm like really listening to it, there's things like the chicks will cream, like
the chicks will cream.
Wow. Or like even just things like Rizzo's Peachy Pass It On. Like, that don't make no sense to a 5-year-old. So like, but now I'm just like, oh, now I get what that whole plot point is about, you know? So yeah, as you sort of said, the ultimate sleepover movie, it's just a fun, light, good time. I reckon I got this soundtrack for my 6th birthday, 97. Yeah, I'd say it was that. And the VHS with the 30 or 40th year, because I remember at the start of the VHS they did like the Paramount logo, and they had Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta talking beforehand.
And now a special presentation to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Grease.
What'd you do this summer, Sandy?
Oh, I spent most of it at the beach. I met a boy there. I think Grease has a timeless quality. There was just this magical quality in this movie that's made it last for so long.
Sandy!
Danny?
I feel a part of history. I don't know if I would trade Grease with anything.
So one of those landmark re-releases on VHS. A million times, I would agree. It's one of those ones that you just keep coming back to over and over again. I went and watched it in the theatre when they did the re-release for the sing-along. Have you ever been able to see like the sing-along or the live version or anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen the live like play version because I think it had like a reboot in the 90s or early 2000s. Like, because I don't remember exactly what year I like saw it in, and so like I remember as a kid, I think it was on my birthday one year, maybe 4th grade, me and all my friends like dressed up like the Pink Ladies, and I think I dressed up like a T-Bird.
I love it.
And like we all went to the play, and it was like one of those like core memories, like such a great time, like seeing the live kind of musical version in person. So yeah, this like that was definitely like a childhood memory, and then yeah, just watching it over and over and over again. And I kind of love movies that are very adult, but like kids can watch it and still enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And like not understand all the things that are happening.
Yeah, it's a family movie that's not a family movie. It's just one of those ones that, you can put on for the whole family and everyone's getting something out of it. Let's talk about our Pink Ladies. That's who we're going to be celebrating today. The main character of Grease 1, I would say, Sandy, played by Olivia Newton-John.
This whole movie's iconic. And like when I think of Olivia Newton-John, it's this movie. Like it maybe a little bit of Xanadu, but like it's really this for me. Is like I think of her, and yeah, she's definitely like that virginal, pure kind of girl kind of symbol, because I do think Grease is very much like a parody of like the 1950s, but I feel like people take it too serious sometimes. I'm like, this movie's like very silly, like let's not get all crazy about it.
Poking fun, it's satirical, it knows what it's doing and it's intentional with what it's doing. That's what's so great about it. Olivia Newton-John, absolutely did not realize, well, now that I'm older, everyone looks old. But when you're young, like, it was one of those ones when I found out later on, like, she was, 27 or something like that at time of filming. I'm like, go off, because she still looks quite young in her very prim, proper, her Sandra Dee costumes. But what an absolute Australian icon. I love Olivia Newton-John's voice. You mentioned Xanadu. If I had 1 ounce of singing talent, that would be my go-to karaoke song. I sing that out in the car like no one's business. But in this movie, I do... it's fantastic that we get to see both sides of the character. And I think that's what the character of Sandy boils down to, is that when I think of the character, I think of both good girl Sandy and bad girl Sandy. And I think that's just so cool. Like, it's not just one singular moment I think of. I don't think of just the end, you got that mix of it, Who are our titular Pink Ladies? Who are we introduced to that they are going to rule the school?
Yeah, so we have Rizzo, which, I mean, she's probably my favorite character. And then we have also Frenchie, Jan, and Marty are kind of like, those are the Pink Lady group.
God, it seems to keep coming up every single freaking episode, and I don't mean to, but there's just this core memory in me of Sailor Moon. I think it's because... It's because it's such a good example in my brain of a group of women of different personalities. It's House again, it's Babysitter's Club again. Those are the ones I keep coming back to. But it is the same with the Pink Ladies, where each one really has their lane, has their trait, but when they combine, make for a really fun group dynamic. So that's always my thought of the Pink Ladies, is like what a fun group it would have been to hang out with those girls in high school.
I completely agree, because like I would say Rizzo's definitely like the street smart, kind of tough girl vibe, and then Frenchie's more like down to earth, the best friend.
Yep. Nice girl, into her beauty. She would be like a beauty influencer if it was modern times.
Yeah. And then Jan's definitely like the class clown, very silly, doesn't really take things too seriously. And then Marty's definitely, throughout the whole film, I feel like is always trying to be like more mature than maybe she actually is. But she also does feel like most women.
She's the Blanche Devereaux. Another great example is the Golden Girls of like different personality types.'s the Blanche or the Samantha for modern times. So we start with everyone walking into school. It's Rydell High. It's 59.
9?
Yeah, brilliant. Back me up on that one. It is now. It's 59.
50. Or, okay, on the plot synopsis, it says summer of 58. So, 58, 59.
Beautiful.
Both.
Beautiful. It's senior year. We have Sandy, who's a transfer student from Australia. And she is walking with Frenchie. And then we also get the Pink Ladies rolling into school.
Okay, I'm going to back up a moment because I am obsessed with the animated opening, and like I love that, and I love that Sandy is like Snow White.
Yes, the animals, the road, everything.
I love how like the animated sequence or whatever. A lot of it doesn't even make sense too. Like Rizzo's like neck is like super long at one point. It's like very silly. I love the animated random kind of opening because we don't usually really get that type of thing these days. So I just wanted to mention that. Something that does kind of bother me about the intro is okay, how do Frenchie and Sandy
know each other?
Meet? Or like, because I would think it would be Patty Simcox like showing her around the school.
May, isn't it the most?
Well,
like it doesn't really make sense to me.
Sandy and Frenchie are already walking together, so I'm going to go with something of like, I'm going to build some lore as we're going. This is my new headcanon, because Frenchie's also the one to know Michael, who's British, or Sandy's cousin, in Grease too. So I'm going to go with something like they have family friends, they have father work connections. I think Sandy's family, well, I don't know, to be an Australian in the 50s and be over, you would have to be something government, big business, something like that. So, and to be able to stay, I don't know what visa they would be on. So I'm going to go with family friends / family work colleagues, and that those two families know each other.
Yes. Love it. Because I was just like, I don't understand why like they know each other and they're like walking in together. Like it doesn't really make sense to me, but let's go with
that. So they walk in together, and then we meet the Pink Ladies, and they have some of the already classical lines that I've already dropped, like it's senior year and we're gonna rule the school.
Yeah, but this time we're seniors.
And we're gonna rule the school.
Tell us about, I messaged you last year and I'm like, we need to do an episode of Stockard Channing, because she never gets her flowers. She has, in a way that you love, like Parker Posey, where she has that very distinct delivery, I find that with Stockard Channing as well. She has a very specific speaking tone and style. So when she says, and we're going to rule the school, and cackles, she fucking cackles. Like, I love it.
I love it. And I think they go like, da 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 da. Again, just everything with this movie. I love the way that things like hit. Like it has a good rhythm, I guess, throughout the movie. Even just like the dialogue of it all, not just like the songs, but in the dance moves. But like I do feel like the dialogue really works really well, and it's like, again, this movie's just very iconic. I feel like every word that is spoken. So I feel like I'm gonna say that a lot. But no, I absolutely love Rizzo because she very much, she calls people out, but it's always like because they're being fake, and she just is like reading a bitch, and I love it. And sorry, I've been watching way too much Drag Race.
Here are your reading glasses. Now, what I want you to do is go down the line. I want you to read these bitches.
Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
That's right. That's right.
Like that's going to be, now I can just unleash all my references now, so I'm very happy.
But yeah, no, I love, like, right off the bat, we kind of understand like how Rizzo is going to be, and the other girls too, and that's another reason why I like the animated opening too, because you kind of get a feel of what each character is going to be like.
See that Rizzo is going to be the head honcho of this group, and the other two, you got your little worker bees, like in a Mean Girl sort of way, like she's the Regina George.
Yes, this is very much origin of Mean Girls for sure. I definitely got that from this rewatch.
Pink on Wednesdays, like for sure. What I love about musicals as a genre is that it is very delineated by songs. Like they are your big key moments and a lot of the things that are pushing the plot and the story. So we see that it's lunchtime, everyone's got their trays and tables, and Rizzo asks how are things down under, which cracked me up. And you're talking about how everything she said is like iconic, and we talked about her speaking voice. I want to bring back some of the slang that she says. Like I love that she goes like peachy keen jelly bean.
Peachy keen jelly bean.
Like I would start saying that because I'm lived, especially like working in a school, for like a rhyming thing. So like I'm like, wake up, buttercup. Like I just love stuff like that. So I'm gonna start introducing peachy jelly bean. Or Patty Simcox comes over and is like, is that the most? And Riz is like, to say the least, the very least.
The very least.
It's like I just love the interactions at that table there. Very high schooly, true, like trying to find your way to a table, especially as a new kid.
Yeah, no, I love when Patty comes over and I forget what she sits on, but it's like very dramatic. She's like, ah!
Welcome to my dinner.
Is it like Jan's half-eaten apple or something?
Yeah. Yes, it's the apple. But I love how like dramatic, like cream is. And yeah, she's just like high energy, and she definitely is like, I feel like one of the first like caricatures of like the Goody Two Shoes character that you kind of see.
Yeah.
You know, like she definitely is the reason for oh my gosh, what is her name? From Election. But
yeah.
Yes, like I feel like that character could not exist without Patty Simcox, or like even like Paris from Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
just like that high energy, like overachiever kind of people. Yeah. And yeah, I love her, and kind of all the girls kind of gossiping at the table before we go into our first song with Sandy telling about her love over the summer.
Yeah, I love this, and you get that interaction between Rizzo and Sandy because Rizzo's really trying to suss her out, and Rizzo obviously being more of a bad girl sort of vibe, and then Sandy being more of the good girl sort of vibe. You get a little bit of that face off already, that differing personality clash, because Frenchie asks, like, what do we think of Sandy for the Pink Ladies? She's too pure to be pink.
She looks too pure to be pink.
Stucky Channing should like really enunciates that P. I love it. But she also talks about like, oh, Sandy, what did you do for the summer? Oh, I met a boy down at the beach. You hauled your cookies all the way down to the beach for some guy. I love it. But I can't remember what she said, but he was like wonderful or like he was perfect. And she's like, there ain't no such thing.
There ain't no such thing.
He was really romantic.
So it's already really interesting to see those, because you do have that in high school, especially in the senior year, girls developing at different times, girls having key life experiences at different times. So it's just really, when I'm trying to look at it with a critical brain now, those are the sorts of things I'm picking up on more than when I'm just doing, say, like a casual watch. On your rankings of the soundtrack, because everyone's got it, don't lie, like everyone goes through like, this is the best one, and then this would be like my second or third, or if we were doing like the Grease mega mix, which I mean played at every school disco that I ever went to, where do you rank Summer Nights in the ranking?
I would say it's like mid to high. I mean, it's hard because I feel like all the songs are so catchy and good, but like I will say some of the lyrics are really hilarious. Like, it doesn't, like, really make a lot of sense, or it does. I don't know. But a lot of sexual innuendos, of course, naturally. But no, I would say it's, like, higher to mid. What about you?
Yeah, I tend to fluctuate. Like, every time I watch, I'm like, no, you're the one that I want's up there. And then I'm like, no, Grease Lightning's so much fun. And then I'm like, no, it's Summer Nights. Because, like, I really love anything, like, a guys versus girls sort of deal, like, you know, that's always quite effective. So, and it's got that scene of the guys going across the, like, shoop up, like that just looks great. So, I don't know. And then other times I listen to this and I'm like, this is so cheesy and shitty, like, I don't know.
Exactly.
So I change my opinion, like, every watch, every listen. I'm landing on it now. I think it's a great way to get a bit of plot, to get a bit of exposition out of here. And I think it's also great that you get not just Danny and Sandy singing, but it's like the whole group, because you see, now I start to see who's asking which questions. Like, does he have a car? Yes, like all those little bits. Like, Frenchie's obviously like really into the romance side of it. Marty's really into like, but what has he got? Like, I like all those little bits there.
Okay, this is like a visual thing, but I absolutely love one of the, because like you said, it is like kind of the whole group, and they're doing little like dance kind of numbers together, and there's this one shot of all the girls, and Jan has a fork and is like doing this with Patty's hair with like spaghetti. Like, and she's not even like really caring that she's doing it, but she's just like going down on her hair, and I love that.
Yeah,
I definitely noticed that like on this watch like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like Patty and Sandy like skipping and shit. Like, I don't know why, that just like makes me happy. And their big poodle skirts and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's a fun song. And then you get like the "It Turned Colder," and then she walks off, and oh, those summer nights. So telling all the girls about how she found this romance, and then what was his name? Danny Zuko. And the giggle that Marty and Jan give off, it's so I can't drop the word, but it's that word. Because,
I gotcha.
thank you. Because that is what girls do, especially high school girls do, when they know something that someone else doesn't know. They let out that little giggle, they let out that little laugh, that I know something you don't, I know something that you'll never know. Very in that vein.
Prince Charming will show up again someday. Somewhere unexpected.
Like, I do love that all the girls, like you had said, are kind of like, we know him, so like you're going to see him soon, but we're not going to tell you that because power dynamics with girls. Yeah.
So our next big key scene is this pep rally. Rydell's doing this pep rally, and Patty Simcox said, "You must try out for cheerleader." So Sandy tries out for cheerleader. She looks so adorable in this Rydell one. She's got like the big bang and the high pony, and I'm like, yes, girl. Like, she looks good. She cannot cartwheel for shit, and neither can I. I'm really seeing myself in Olivia Newton-John in this film. But she goes up there and she gives it a go. She flirts with cute boys, but then afterwards the girls all get together, and I love the way they're going to introduce her to Danny. And again, Rizzo, I love that you love this character, because this is a character as a kid, like, I really didn't feel any attachment for, like, was always wondered why she was so mean or things like that, because I guess I do see myself more in the Sandy character, and like that's our protagonist and all that sort of thing. But it's really more interesting now as an adult. I'm like, that is a more complex, interesting character. The way Zuko got a present for you. Oh yeah. Yeah, and they just throw Sandy at her. But walking over, Frenchie's like pressing at her a little bit. And it's those little key things in between that make the world feel a bit more lived in and like make the girls feel more real based.
Yeah, no, totally. And I will say just a quote that I wanted to bring up on this scene, because again, for some reason, like Grease, it's just like you were kind of talking about it with specifically Stockard Channing, that like there's just like specific ways that people say things in this movie that are very funny. And like one of the ones that I love is with Frenchie, and she's like, "Your splits are divine."
Your split was divine.
I think she's trying to say divine, but she says it like really weird. And I just love it. Your splits are divine.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. Sandy gets chucked at Danny. Now, this is still a scene that I get in theory, but I still don't get why. So obviously it's like, Danny, Sandy, Danny, like all that very
Sandy!
Oh god, that was more Brad, Dr. Scott, Janet, Brad. Sorry, Rocky, that was more that. Sorry, that was
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Rocky.
Rocker!
But it really is like that, though. It's like, Danny!
Sandy!
Can I do something I've always wanted to do?
Yeah.
Sandy!
It's very dramatic.
What are you doing here? I thought you had to go back to Australia. We had a change of plans. And so he's so excited. But I get that he shoots her down because it's in front of the guys, and he's the leader of the guys, and this is the cool guys, and, you know, it's not cool to be, I guess, so into one chick, or does she look too goody-goody? This is the part I don't really know, because it's like, what happened to Danny Zuko I met at the beach?
You're a fake and a fraud, and I wish I knew you, or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
You're a fake and a phony, and I wish I'd never laid eyes on you.
Okay, so something that I'm curious about your opinion on is, I think Rizzo and Danny used to date.
Yeah, because they're walking in, and he said, and she goes, "That's ancient history."
That's ancient history.
Well, history sometimes repeats itself.
And like, again, I love Rizzo's face throughout this like entire scene too. Like,
she is eating it.
Yeah, like when she presents Sandy to Danny, and then also just the look when like they all kind of walk away. Like she's just like, oh, it's so good.
It is so
like,
good.
Just the stare off.
Yeah, she's got those smirks. She's just I don't know how to describe her in the film, but like it's not bitchy mean. It's just a bit catty, and it's just the right amount for me, and it's great. It's great because you still like enjoy the character and still sort of like root for her sort of thing. So that's what's so good. Sandy's obviously quite distraught. I love this little pick-me-up scene between Frenchie and Sandy. They're too low. They're amoebas on fleas on rats. They're too low for even the dogs to bite. Like,
There are amoebas on fleas on rats. I mean, they're too low for even the dogs to bite.
I think that's just a really cute real-world experience of when your friend is going through heartbreak and you are the friend there to pick someone up and console them, and then to have a girls' night. I loved this little moment, and then we get to the sleepover.
Yeah, no, I love the moment between Sandy and Frenchie, but I kind of feel like every time I watch it now, I kind of take it a step further in my head where I kind of wish Frenchie and Sandy were together. Like, I wish they were like the love interest that happens. I just feel like that would be the better movie.
The very Harlequin Poison Ivy sort of deal. Like, yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah. So, like, when this scene happens, I'm just like, come on, just kiss each other and, like, go be together.
So we moved.
But then it doesn't happen.
This is, not a Rydell, and I can't see that happening, unfortunately. Not in the 50s.
No.
We have our sleepover now, and this is one of those very, gotta stop using the word, iconic scenes, but it's one of the scenes I think about when I think of the movie, is the sleepover scene. Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee and hopelessly devoted to you. I'm going to put it all together. I guess because, Melissa, as you sort of said, this is an ultimate sleepover movie. So the sleepover scene, similar to what we spoke about in The Craft, tying it all together, as we like to do, there's just something about seeing sleepover scenes in movies that is really fun. Girls being girls in their pajamas, girls playing with makeup, girls having a first drink, watching TV, hanging out, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it starts out with the fresh on, which I love. I definitely was obsessed with that when I was a kid. Like, I would like get up and do that whole thing.
Russia, get the new white banner.
Now watching it, I'm just like, oh my god, that's so annoying. But I love it at the same time. It very much gives me kind of the moment in Clueless where Brittany Murphy's character kind of sings
the
commercial,
song.
like
Fresh and full of life. Mentos, the fresh maker.
Fresh goes better with Mentos, fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Right, yes,
like,
yes.
It's
that.
It very, very much like reminds me of that. But no, I love that. Yeah, all the girls, again, I feel like are kind of showing off their personality at the sleepover. Like, Jan's, just watching TV and being silly. Marty's writing letters to, like, the people that overseas that she has, like, pen pals with. And she also kind of, if I'm remembering right, she's wearing kind of like lingerie, it seems like, or kind of a little bit more sexier, like pajamas. And then yeah, Sandra Dee has her white, like, really long,
as you said, that virginal sort of robe, like it is. It's that white, pure, big, long, nothing showing, sack white nightgown. But it looks nice. Like, she pulls it off. But you're right. As we talk about with costumes, like, it really says a lot to each of the individual girls with what they're wearing.
And I just feel like this scene kind of really highlights that quite a bit. And yeah, this might be one of my, this is a top song for me, for sure. It's so fun to sing too.
What do you like about Sandy having her ear pierced by Frenchie?
I promise you.
And then there's the blood, and so she's out of the room. And Rizzo says, what does she say? Something about that girl, that goody two-shoes, this is making me sick. And she puts on the blonde wig, and we get Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee.
Yes.
This goody two-shoes makes me want to barf.
Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee.
Which the wig, it's amazing. I feel like it's a really, really great wig. And yeah, I will say the piercing at the sleepover is funny because I have gone to sleepovers where we've pierced each other's ears. I've had one where somebody's pierced your nose, like, so that's definitely like a thing that happens. I don't know why.
Absolutely.
Is it the smartest thing? Probably not, but it definitely happens at sleepover, so I do appreciate that. I think this song is just very, like, strongly sung by Rizzo's character. Like, again, the delivery of kind of some of the words in the song just really work very well. And then I do love all the different references. And recently I watched A Summer Place, which has Sandra Dee and
Troy Donahue?
And Troy Donahue, yeah, in it. And so that was really fun to watch that and then watch Grease, because it's like I understood the references a little bit more. which, yeah, I mean, Grease definitely is referencing that movie, and I do recommend watching it if you haven't seen it. But the Elvis,
Let me be! Keep that Elvis far from me!
it's like, it's great. Like, the song's just very fun. And again, catty, like girls making fun of other girls being rude.
Yeah.
But
in some form.
Yes.
This is one that I didn't feature too much as a kid, like would listen to it and enjoy it, like the chorus. But it's very wordy song. So it's not one that I ever super took to, and as you sort of said, like a lot of references and things like that. But I like the girls jumping on the bed, wiggling around, doing the backup dancing. I feel like that's also really true to life, like when you used to make up dance routines with your friends and dance to pop songs and stuff like that. So I live for that. And then at the end when she was over, I'm Sandra Dee, and does all this. And this is like an all-time movie line for me. Like, this gets said so freaking often in our house. Like, I'd say like once every few days is, you making fun of me, Riz?
You're making fun of me, Riz?
Gets said.
Yeah.
And some people are so touchy.
Some people are so touchy.
Some people are so touchy.
And sing. Like, it's so good. It's so well done. The way they're able to transition through the scenes in this movie is what makes it enjoyable. It's a good pace. It moves it along. Really good. Hopelessly Devoted to You. I nearly forgot. Melissa, were you gonna read me for that? Like, Kelly, no, go back. Rizzo's making fun of Sandy and she's feeling a bit sad, a bit sick. So Maya gives her some letters, take one of mine. And we get her Olivia Newton-John big ballady moment in Hopelessly Devoted to You.
I love the song. Like, I think it's beautifully sung, and like, it's a great song. Like, even if you just like pluck it out of the movie and just like listen to it, it's a great song. Now, in the context of the film, I do struggle with it a little bit because I kind of feel like the placement of the song is like incorrect. Like, I think I would have rather her sung this maybe after the dance scene later or the drive-in scene. Like, it feels too early on in the film where like nothing's really changed, I feel. And it's just like, okay, you're hopelessly devoted to him. Like, I feel like the placement of the song, when I look at the whole film, it feels a little weird. And then I also feel like she kind of, like, it's a little boring in the sense of, like, they don't give her much to do. She is just kind of,
wandering
like,
around.
Singing. Yeah, wandering around, and then it's like that little pool. It's not very fun visually, but it's like a great song. And I love the song a lot. It's a great song to sing to, too. Like, it's a fun one. But I don't know. I do struggle with the placement of the song for, like, the story. I do kind of wish it was a little later on, because it's like, okay, we already know you kind of like him, I guess, but it feels a little misplaced for me.
I think that's really adept, because this is the one that gets placed into the film. This is not from the film version. This is not from the stage version. This is the one they asked to specifically so Olivia Newton-John could have a song in the film. So I think that's quite bang on that it's maybe not in the right place, because when you're thinking about it, it's only just happened that he's just shot her down. So I guess that's what she's hopelessly devoted to you. But I agree, like maybe later on in the film, because they do have a few ups and downs, like maybe when he's doing track and she's with the other guy, like it could have slotted in somewhere along there, might have made it a bit better so that she's got a bit of context and a bit more of a different viewpoint to it.
I just wanted to say I love, it's a quote from Rizzo, when Danny's like, bite the weenie, Riz, and she's like, with relish.
Oh, bite the weenie, Riz.
With relish.
And then just like that look that she has, it's so good.
It's so good. It's just so good. When you said I've got a quote of Mike, please say the with relish one, because I was really hoping that, because that is such a good one. But the big happenings at Rydell is that American Bandstand is going to come and play, and they're going to be on TV, and this is our big formal dance party sort of scene. We've seen Danny and Sandy make up already because he's been doing track, and, they get back together and they have this cute little scene at the diner with all the friends. But when I was even thinking of that one, I'm like, there's not that much to it. Like, it's an enjoyable scene, but there's not any point that I really feel strongly about it. It's more about what's going to happen at Bandstand. So we see like a lot of our people sort of pair off, and get excited, but Rizzo and Kaniki have had this fling, no longer together, so she brings in the guy from the rival gang across school.
I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Crater face. Oh, yeah?
And Kaniki brings Chacha de Gregorio from St. Bernadette's. Like, okay.
Yeah. I'm the best dancer at St. Benedict's.
They call me Cha-Cha because I'm the best dancer at St. Bernadette's.
So good. I love Cha-Cha.
But this is definitely another scene where we get to see a lot of our characters and their personality traits really flourish. I love Frenchie's back, and she's gone from her pink hair to her blonde hair. Blondes really do have more fun. You look like a beautiful blonde pineapple.
Like a beautiful blonde pineapple.
So she's just there to have a good time. Jan's there with Putsy, and he's like, "Could you just let me lead?" I can't help it. I'm used to leading. Marty's there getting hit on by Vince Fontaine, and then Sandy and Danny are there, and we see all our pink ladies and friends start to dance to, I think there's Tears on My Pillow to start with, when they do like the line dance to warm up, and then you got Hound Dog and then Hand Jive. Melissa, was this just the ultimate scene for you as a kid? Like, is this just the one, especially with Hand Jive?
Oh yeah. Like, I love all these like songs that aren't necessarily like our cast singing it. It's, you know, it's the band at the dance singing. But yeah, I love all these songs. I love all the dance moves. I will say, okay, shout out to the girl, the extra in the blue dress. Like she's like yelling at her boyfriend, and like they're like going hard this whole scene, and I just love her. So check her out.
Short dark hair?
If you didn't notice her.
Yeah. That is something about Grease and Grease too. It's like you really start to learn all the background people as well. Like they populate that school with the same people, and like your eyes start to go to them.
Yeah, no, but I love all the dancing and kind of singing throughout the scene. Like it's great. And I will say something like, again, from like an adult perspective watching it, that's kind of weird is like it's when Kaniki and Cha-Cha are dancing, and it's like the fake slap thing. It's like, that is a bit much, but I love it. But it's just
it's so in time, but it's here. Like, oh no. Yeah. Those rules are not enforced properly at all. It's like sometimes they'll like kick people out for being too much, and then there's like other people being super extra that are like just left in there. I'm like, what are we doing here, people?
Yeah, they're choosing and picking, I guess.
I do love Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, their chemistry when they're dancing and they get their moment in the middle. I think that's really strong, really great dancing that, it makes you a bit giddy, and like I sort of said, is like one of those good sleepover moments because it's fun to just watch with the group and watch those scenes.
I mean, I love the Cha-Cha character because she is like the antagonist female in this movie, but I love her energy, and also she is not in high school in regards to how she looks. Like, she is a woman. I love that, and I love her dress and just her attitude.
The dress is so great. The way she flicks it around, and it gives me very of that 50s time. It gives me Singing in the Rain, like or something very Sid Charisse or something like that, which is so funny being a movie made in the 70s, set in the 50s. She gives me like what would have been seen in the 50s musicals at the time. So I love that.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because for me, Danny gives me very 70s.
He's still in Saturday Night Fever. He's still in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, but I love it. I love the pink and the black. Oh, it's so great.
So we see Danny and Cha-Cha in the dance, which causes friction between Sandy and Danny, and we get the drive-in scene next.
Yeah, so this is like one of the cringiest, I think, scenes like watching as an adult, because it's like Danny, has this gesture of giving Sandy a ring, and then she's like, "Oh, you respect me," and then like moments later, it's like disrespect, and it's just like, okay, and then I'm trying to remember the quote, but because she's like, I just thought you, like, I just didn't enjoy that you, like, went with Cha-Cha. And then he's like, I didn't go with Cha-Cha, but I went with Cha-Cha, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the quote is, but
We did not go together, Sandy. We just went together, that's all.
It's still that high school bullshit of like, you hooked up with someone. Like, it's still very that. It's still to this day.
yeah. So, like, yeah, watching this as an adult, like, this particular scene between them is, like, kind of cringy. But I will say something that I definitely didn't, like, pick up as a child is, like, when she, like, leaves to, like, slam the door, that she's like slamming his boner, because like I didn't really understand, like, why he's like, oh, you know, like, all, like, in pain. It's just like, oh,
I get it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense now.
Speaking of things we didn't understand as kids, did not understand that when Rizzo and Marty are in the bathroom and they're having their girl chat, and she's like, I skipped a period, like, I'm a defective typewriter, I skipped a period.
You're like a defective typewriter. Huh? I skipped a period.
God, slang, so good. 50 slang, bring it back.
Yeah.
It's that Rizzo is pregnant, because, again, probably didn't pick up early in the film that it was unprotected sex because the condom broke. Like, did not pick up on any of that. So, but I do love, and it gives me very Bye-Bye Birdie with the telephone scene, that it just takes Marty saying it to whispering it to one person, and it follows all the way through every car, keep people jumping in and out, whisper, whisper, whisper as Rizzo's walking, and it makes it all the way to Kaneki just as Rizzo walks up. I'm like, love that. Such a good shot.
Yeah. Wow. Good news travels fast.
Boy, good news really travels fast.
And then, like, I love, like, the moment after, like, they have that conversation in the bathroom, like, they step outside and Marty's like, lady with the baby.
I'll take it to the grave,
oh my
and then
God.
just, like, spreads it.
Look, I'll take it to the grave, okay? Come on, lady with the baby.
I like Marty as a character a lot. She doesn't get, like, a lot of scenes, but what she is in, like, I find her very attention drawing, and yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, I like her too. I will say another thing that I, like, did not remember at all was, like, that bathroom conversation, and she's like, oh yeah, like, he Vince Fontaine, like, put an aspirin in my Coke or something.
Yes.
I was just like,
I caught Vince Fontaine trying to put aspirin on my Coke at the dance.
oh shit, like, damn, Vince was trying to roofie her, like, red flag. Like, obviously that whole encounter is, like, a red flag, but I didn't, like, that is something I definitely did not pick up until, like, on more recent watches, you know, because it's just not something I remember, you know, as a
Even
kid.
Vince and Marty's interaction at the dance, where it's like, do your parents know that I come into your bedroom every night? And she's like, Marty Maraschino, you know, like the cherry, and, like, looks real. I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, girl. Thunder Road.
It's going down at Thunder Road.
Yes.
I have put this in my notes because I don't have any major plot points, but we do have all our key ladies there supporting the birds. We have Marty and Jan, you know, see a penny, pick it up. Like, they're sort of...
See a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck.
The reason Kaneki can't drive, which is a little bit funny. And we get Sandra Dee moment where she's sitting, like, a little bit far away. And why I would want to just touch on this a little bit is because I think, Melissa, if you agree with me, one of the critiques we hear about the film nowadays, not growing up, it's like current discourse, is it's a movie about changing yourself for a guy. And that I quite disagree with, actually. And a little bit of it is because of this scene in particular here and a lot of the words she's singing. It's like, Sandy, you must start anew, think about what you can do, hold your head high, don't be so scared and unsure. Like, I feel like a lot of that is internal. And I was going to save it a little bit I will save it for George Life. I'll come back. I'm going to put a pin in that and come back to what I find interesting about the Sandra Dee character and the character change. But this is the moment we see that there might be something more in store, and goodbye to Sandra Dee. How do you take this whole Thunder Road scenes?
Okay. Cha-Cha's yellow pants, yes.
And the scarf and everything.
I love them.
I love the hair
it's
from
so
her
good.
chest. Like, again, the line delivery is so good.
A lock of hair from her chest.
Yeah, no, I love that, like, another, like, line delivery that is when Frenchie comes over to Sandy when she's kind of having that like self-reflective moment, and she's just like, I can't remember exactly the words, but like, and then Sandy's just like, I'm not doing too good French, but can you help me out?
No, not really, Frenchie, but I think I know a way I could be. Could you help me?
Like the way that she says it is like really funny to me because she's like, I'm not doing good. Yeah. But like she says it so like matter of fact. I was like, okay. But no, I will say I kind of wish we got to see like a shopping montage or the getting ready montage. I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like there's a missed opportunity here.
Like, we just get the results. Yes. But again, to be clueless, like we like this I'm gonna be a supermodel scene. Like we like that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I completely agree. Like I think, yeah, like moving into the carnival scene where, you know, Sandy shows up in, you know, the like bombshell kind of look, the big hair and the really tight pants. Like I'm with you though. I think this definitely is more of like good for her moment, and like I think it's very much like because I do think the Sandy character is very much representing like that repression of sexual repression from the 1950s. Like I feel like she's like that symbol throughout the whole film. And like I think this is her moment of like sexual like revolution of herself, of like, hey, like I'm ready to have sex basically. Like that's more what I get from it. And like I don't know. And I think she looks amazing. Like really iconic.
Like yeah, and another thing that I've always loved about this as well is like, okay, so I said about are you making fun of me, Ruth, in our household? The other quote that is all the time is, tell us about it, stud.
Tell me about it, stud.
So good.
Yeah.
But then I like that she has a cigarette, and it's so new to this sort of style that she doesn't know what to do with it. But the girl's like, no, like with the heel and everything. I love that it is still girly fun movies, like girl support, like that's what you would do with your good girlfriends, you know. So I've always liked that little bit where it's like, no, you don't like the smoking part, but if you're gonna do it, like I like that. You're right though, like the look is one of those classic movie looks at this point. It's very well known, and she looks gorgeous, and you're the one that I want. Such a fun culmination of the movie. I always forget that then we go together afterwards. Like I always think of this one as the end one, but we still get like we go together, which is great for again seeing our whole cast of characters, seeing the way, as you sort of mentioned, everyone dresses in their little different ways as well, which is always really, really fun to see.
Yeah, no, I love that the two songs like really kind of blend.
That's very true. It's within a matter of minutes.
Really,
yeah,
like very seamlessly. Yeah, I think You're the One That I Want is probably my favorite song. Like it is just, it's so fun to sing, and like it's a great duet. And yeah, like tell me about it, stud. Like like yes, I am living for it. And yeah, I don't take the ending so negative. Like I said, like I definitely think of this more as like her coming into her own, coming into her womanhood, wanting to express herself more sexually. But I get it. I think where the film maybe like fails a little bit is I do wish they had more of those girl moments, like you were saying with like the cigarette. I think if they had a little bit more of that, I think it would land a little bit like cleaner, or like maybe people wouldn't be so up in like arms about it, I guess, or whatever. I think maybe that's the part that's missing, is like maybe just having that girl influence to kind of help her express herself in this manner, like more earlier in the film. I think would have helped.
Which is what I guess you're saying with like the Frenchy stuff. Like it would have been good to maybe see like a bit of it. I think it is still influenced by Danny, but I don't think it's the whole point, and that's the part where like I draw the line. I'm like, no, it's not just for the guy. Like it's like I'd say 70-30, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, something, and he does wear a sweater for her
as well. It's both of them changing to try for each other. So that's where I think it's not just her, and you can't just dwindle it down to that one part. Something I love is that they don't have like a Sandy Riz scene. Like, it's not like, oh, you're on my level now or anything like that. Like, they just address it like everyone's, like, that's their, like, the gang's back together again. I thought that was kind of cool when, just after this recent watch, I'm like, oh, you know, in a modern movie, you would have something like that where they would, like, acknowledge one another, like maybe like a Regina Katie acknowledging each other at the end of Mean Girls. But I like that they sort of just like, yeah, everyone's friendly, everyone's friends, because at the end of the day, none of this drama is too heavy. Like, it's not a heavy, super bitchy sort of deal. Like, it's all quite light, quite frivolous, which is great. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, because it's one of those internet theories that goes round and round and around. What's your interpretation of the ending?
That's a great question, because I don't even know, honestly, where I fully land on it. I do think, I mean, throughout the entire film, like, we get moments of magical realism, and so I just think it's just another little sprinkle of that. And I think it's like a literal, like, them going off in the sunset, but like literally. I think it's just a movie and it's fun. Like, I don't know. Because I do find this movie so like lighthearted that I don't know, I don't lean into it super hard in regards to like an interpretation. I know that there's like theories of like Sandy being dead and like that kind of stuff, which I do think it's interesting, but I think it's just like a fun ending to a movie. Like, honestly, that's kind of where I'm
in the same.
What about
like,
you?
I never even took my notice that they drove off in a car at the end, and that's strange. Like, of course, like, it's just that was just the ending. Like, I guess I just interpret it more as like they drove off into a happy ending into the sunset. Like, I never thought like really logistically they're flying or anything like that, but like, it never seemed out of place for the tone of the movie, which is what I think sort of saves it. But yeah, when you read the theories, it's interesting. Drawn to Life. Drawn to Life. Why do these characters jump off screen? And my first biggest key question for you, Melissa, I guess, is what makes the Pink Ladies such a passed down, generational, enduring symbol? Because I feel like we're of the same age, we're 90s kids, and obviously this movie is coming out in the 70s, and we've grown up with it on VHS, and it's still a sleepover movie. And I would say, I don't know if nowadays it is passed down, but I think it is something like mums like to show to their kids, or like it's good like family sort of movies. Like, oh yeah, you got to watch Grease. It feels like something everyone goes through a little bit. So what is it about the Pink Ladies that still make, because I go down to the shops and it's still like a key costume. You still see like the Bad Girl Sandy look sold out a lot. So what is it about Grease and the Pink Ladies that taps into something in our womanhood? What do you think it is?
Grease is just so like a part of the pop culture of it all. Like, it's such a
staple.
Like, even though it's it's from the 70s, but like, yeah, it still very much feels like it's still current. Because I mean, I think they even made like a TV show. I think it got canceled.
Oh,
they made a TV show not that long ago. Yeah, like, okay, I never saw it because they took it off from the internet. Like, I think you can't even find it anywhere, because I kind of was curious to maybe watch it, but like, it's still something that they are trying to like recreate or like bring back. It feels like because I did the Grease live not that long
with Vanessa
ago
Hudgens
either.
as Rizzo and stuff. Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just like you were saying earlier about like the Sailor Moon of it all.
You've got to stop using
and like the
so
Baby Spirits Club. No, don't. Well, I need to watch Golden Girls and Sailor Moon because I have not. But I think it highlights these different styles of personality, and like you said, when they all come together, there is just something kind of beautiful about that. Like just friendships, how you can like bond with people who are maybe different, but I think at the end of the day, it's like we're all girls and we're coming into our womanhood, and like we're gonna still be there for each other no matter what, even if we have like moments of being catty. I don't know. I think it's just a good movie. It's good vibes. It's lighthearted. Like, I don't know. Like, I just love these characters.
I'm going to tap into something else. One of the reasons I think this keeps enduring is that it's one of the first things we see about cliques.
Cliques can be dangerous.
I think it's something to do with the exclusivity of having. This sounds so simplified and vain, but I kind of think it's true, at least for me. Something about that jacket. having a pink ladies jacket. It's about belonging to a group. It's about being in an exclusive group. It's about being chosen. It's about we all, as social creatures, want to fit in and we want to be well perceived by others. So this is the cool group. This is one of the only all-female cool groups that I can think of until we sort of see Mean Girls and the Plastics. And again, you get a moniker, you get a title, you get something to belong to and belong with. So I think that is one of the reasons we can still go down the shops and get pink lady costume jackets. I think it's something to do with that.
Yeah, I love that. I will admit, I went into this watch fairly casual, so I feel like I should have like prepared a bit more. But no, I think that's great. Like I completely agree with that.
Let's move into our technically speaking. How we've talked a little bit about the script, but it's not what I think of when I think of Grease in the way that we've done things like Sunset Boulevard before, and I'm thinking of a lot of like that's a real dense script. The script's quite light, and being a musical, it's more about the songs.
Yeah, I think the thing that maybe is like special about Grease compared to like other musicals that I can think of is like you get a lot of different varieties of songs. Like you get songs of like the group singing together. You get, inner dialogue. Like we only get one in this movie, but we do get another one in Grease too. But like songs that are just sung internally. And definitely, like, we get, like, love ballads, and then we also get, like, fun songs. I feel like there's a good variety in the mix of songs.
It's moving the plot forward. It's Summer Nights. It's Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee. It's telling a lot about character and place. And it is definitely of that 70s era, even though it's in the 50s, of a lot of upbeat songs. And I think that's another thing, like what you sort of said and what we're tapping into, is that it's a good, fun, upbeat time, as opposed to when you think of your more big standard soundstage Singing in the Rain, West Side Story, more dramatic or bigger production number type. I'm singing my feelings, like all that. It doesn't ever sort of feel like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely lighthearted. Yeah. It's not, Les Mis.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about it, but I was trying to refrain because I was like, okay,
we gotta get into it now.
But okay, beautiful. I absolutely love Rizzo's dress at the dance. It's giving me Minnie Mouse, Betty Boop vibes.
Yes, Betty Boop, great
reference. With like the red and the black polka dots. Like, yeah, it's great. And then I absolutely love Frenchie throughout the whole film, but like I love her beautiful pineapple look with the the blonde pineapple. I just... the way that her hair is kind of styled and like the dress, I feel like it really works, and it very much is her personality. Like even though she's a bit of a chameleon with like her hairstyles and whatnot throughout the film, I think that's like another thing too, is like in high school, I feel like you do express yourself through, clothes and fashion quite a bit, or you kind of experiment it maybe more during that time period compared to other times in your life, I feel. So I love that Frenchie kind of does that throughout.
That is absolutely the point I wanted to make about the Sandra Dee character, where, as you sort of said, it's about her coming into her own. This is a high school movie. I love a high school movie. High school is the time to find out who you are, to take influence from other people. We go through we meet different friends. We go through different friends groups. We go through different phases. I don't look like I did in high school now. I don't have full Emily the Strange straight black hair and fringe and wearing all that. So it's okay to try out different things and put on different things. Sandy's not going to dress like that for the rest of her life. So what? That's how she wants to feel in the moment. She wants to try and she wants to change. And I think that's great. And as you sort of said, it's about experimenting about it. And especially as we're talking in this late 50s stage, and this is going to lead into some of my thoughts about Grease too, about women coming into their own and owning their power and being able to wear different things. Like I love Rizzo in like, my favorite Rizzo look is at the end of the carnival with the red polo and the little shorts. Like she looks
oh, those hot pants. Oh, it's so good. Love it. And it says Rizzo. Oh, it's so good. Yes.
So that's another part of the film that I really like and really respond to as well. Is, as you sort of said, it's about girls like trying on different things and different looks and different personalities, and I just love that.
Okay, we didn't talk about them, and I need to bring them up. Miss McGee and Blanche.
Perfect lead into Grease too, so go for it.
I just love these two. I love I forgot to look at that actress's name, but Miss McGee, I love that woman's voice. Like she has such a way of her voice that it just like is great. again, with the delivery of lines. I feel like that's just something that I love about Grease, is just the way that the songs are sung and the line delivery is just excellent. But I love the dynamic between Miss McGee and Blanche, and Blanche is just like a fun little side character with like the little like
their announcements crack me up. It's great.
So I had to give them a shout out because I love them.
Well, as I sort of mentioned, that is the perfect lead in for Grease 2, because Grease 2 opens with those two ladies. Now, do not turn this video off just because we finished talking about Grease. And if you haven't watched Grease 2, because I'm going to change people's minds. I have thoughts, I have feelings. If Melissa, if I ask you for the analytics on this video and people stop watching here, I'm going to be pissed. People, listen to what I have to say about Grease 2, because it might surprise you. It might surprise you. Melissa, this is one that I remember renting on VHS and then having on DVD. It was usually just quite naturally the sequel. I didn't watch it straight away as a kid after watching Grease so young. I'd say this is more like a 10 to 12 range. But this is like one of my rainy day sick movies. At this point, I reckon I've seen it as much as the original, because there's some times where I'll just watch this one and not the other. Like, I've used this as strengths and trivia. There's just something. Is this art? No. But am I getting so much enjoyment out of it? Yes.
Honestly, this is kind of, I feel like, what started this whole idea for this specific episode, because Kelly was like, hey, have you seen Grease 2? And I was like, no. And you were like, you need to change that. So I watched it a few months ago for the first time because of Kelly, which I appreciate. And I loved it. I think it's just one of those movies that I was told it was so the worst sequel ever, so bad. Like, I feel like that is definitely the reputation that this movie has, and so like I never really like saw it. I never really blinked an eye about it. I was like, okay, like whatever. I'm just probably never gonna see it. But then Kelly's like, no, you should watch it. So I did, and it was great. And then I rewatched it for this episode. So I've only seen it twice, which is crazy because Grease I've seen about 1 million times.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. It was such a huge bomb. It definitely has that with the worst reputation. Definitely has that as one of the worst sequels ever. The IMDb scores trash. The Letterboxd scores trash. There's just still this wide message around it. And again, I'm not trying to say like this is anything spectacular, but I think it's much more maligned than it really does need to be. And there's a lot out of it that I still get. And I still get, like I said, that guilty pleasure enjoyment out of it. That Paramount Stars logo goes round and Back to School starts playing and I'm psyched. So, This movie, though, in the same way we talked about Grease 1 being a 70s film parody of the 50s, this has all the cocaine-fueled decisions of the 80s talking about the 60s. Like, sometimes this just flat out does not make sense. The transitions are not as smooth as the first one, but I find a lot of the characters really enjoyable. I find a lot of the songs still really enjoyable, and I just enjoy, again, a high school movie, a school setting, a geeky kid to a cool kid. We're just going to reverse it all. Back with the pink ladies. We don't have cars, but we've got motorbikes this time. I feel like I'm speaking in the very 80s way right now, sorry. But that is our setup of it all. We start with arriving at school and my absolute most favourite pink ladies moment across both movies when they pull up in this car and we get the pink ladies pledge to act cool, to look cool and to be cool. From death to us part, think pink. No, I did not have that written anywhere. That is just up here from watching it that many times. Again, so this is going to be more fun because, Melissa, you've got fresh eyes on this.
I will say, this movie starts off strong with that opening number. Like, I was feeling it. It was like, okay. I will say the part that's really confusing, though, is like, it's the Four Tops, I believe, and like they they're singing, but then like everyone's singing, but it's just like who is this singing? Like that part was confusing to me. Like it wasn't one of our characters, it was just kind of this like entity somewhere is also singing this song. But no, I will say, comparing the two with the pink ladies of this movie to the first one, I do find these a little bit forgettable. Like but I will say I love Stephanie like a lot. Like I think Stephanie as our main kind of is she the leader of the Pink Ladies in this one? Okay. I would say she's strong, like a stronger character than Sandy compared to like Sandy and Stephanie. If like I'm comparing the two, I prefer Stephanie as a character way more. But the Pink Ladies between the two, I prefer the first film more just because I find them a bit more memorable. Like I've only seen this movie twice, but it's like I only really remember Paulette, the blonde, and that's kind of it. I don't really remember the other girls too well. So like that's a part that's a little weak for me. But I love the pledge at the beginning. But I do find them a little bit forgettable.
They are very much more characterized by the 60s-ness. They obviously really took. So like you do think of Paulette as the Marilyn, and then Sharon looks like Jackie Kennedy. You know, very in that style, and then Rhonda's got like the big 60s cat glasses and that bandstand. So when I first started watching it, it was very much those, you could tell who was who by the distinct style, not that you could put words to like Jackie Kennedy, but it's like that girl that dresses like that, you know, those sorts of things. I love what you said about the song. I didn't want to cut you off where you're going, but that is one of the parts when I was watching it the other night. I'm like, this is what makes me love this movie, that it's still being tongue-in-cheek and still being on the nose of what it's doing, because one of the teachers walks up, Miss Mason, and she's doing all her hair, and then suddenly she joins in the dance moment and then walks off, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here, people? Because, like, is this some big group hallucination that everyone's – like, it's so – it can't make up its mind whether it's aware of itself with what it's doing or if it's being funny about what it's doing. And it's messy and I love it. So I don't know. Again, group hallucinations all I've got with, because people are standing and talking. There's no music playing, but people are in the background still dancing, and I'm like, that's great.
Back in school.
So we get back to school. We get the Pink Ladies pledge. One part I find interesting as well is that Stephanie's walking around in pants, and one girl's just like, oh, pants. And she has to go put on her skirt. And this is the part, I'm going to say now just before anyone does switch off, this is the part about Grease 2 that I really do like. It is at least trying to say something about women's liberation. It is at least trying to say something about where we are in the 60s, about a woman's right to choose, about a woman's right to not just be someone's wife, or just to the only thing in life is going through and being someone's girl. That Stephanie is more tomboyish, that she works in the garage, that she wants to wear pants. I think and having such blatant references to Marilyn and to Jackie Kennedy, I think Grease 2 is at least trying to put women at the forefront much more than the first one. So I do give it a little bit of credit for that. Whether it sticks the landing or not, I can at least see the through lines there throughout the film.
I agree. Like, I do think some of the messaging in regards to that is a bit stronger. It's just, I do struggle with, like, I wish the other girls were a little bit more memorable, because, yeah, it's kind of they're very, like you were kind of saying, they're kind of stuck in their kind of style, and like that's all I kind of really remember. I don't really remember like lines that they say or like things like that. Versus the first one, it's just like, yeah, it's like iconic lines left and right.
I agree.
Yeah, so like that part was missing a bit, but no, I definitely think this movie kind of throughout is very much commenting on like, yeah, women's liberation, like sexual liberation a little bit more clearly in a way compared to the first one.
We get that in this bowling scene coming up, because we've got our new batch of T-Birds as well. Oh yeah, the other thing, only one of these movies has Shane McGavin in it, so that is the one that I'm going to go with.
I will say he like takes me out of it though a little bit because of that. No, he's great, but every time I see him, I'm like, it's Shane McGavin. I found him a little distracting from that perspective.
Paulette Lorna Luft, her gold pants. Oh my god, they take me out every time as well. I can't wait to get to costumes, because like that is one of my favorite outfits across both films as well, is her bowling outfit. Her pink shirt even has like the gold, like it's like this lame sort of fabric on it, and I just love it. We get a little bit more of their personality here, but basically we know that Johnny, the leader of the T-Birds, and Stephanie have just broken up, so now Johnny and Paulette are trying to go together, and we get this big group number. This movie in some respects gives me the Force Awakens treatment, where it's like, hey, let's hit the exact same beats but just in a different way and hope no one notices. so this is our summer night stand-in instead of summer nights. Okay, we're going to score tonight.
When I compare the two films in regards to like the songs, I will say this movie, it feels a little bit more disjointed / like not as meaningful to the plot, but it is the plot, so I'm here for it. But no, I think this is probably the most fun group number. Like, they're spinning hard and spinning fast, and I love all the sexual innuendos. And then is the lead T-Bird Johnny?
Yeah.
Is that his name? The note he hits. My God. Yeah. Like, it's impressive. It reminds me of Sister Act 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. When he hits that high note, it is like such a moment. When he hits that really, really high note, like, I'm just like, hell yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to the more nasal John Travolta ending of Summer Nights. That's a great point.
But no, it's a fun song. They're going bowling. They're gonna score tonight.
I feel like, as you sort of said, like Grease 2 very felt like, oh, you liked all those choreographed Grease numbers in Grease 1. Here's it like on extra. Like, I feel like they just put more into it. Like, we just get full moments of like group choreo instead of like any scene happening. Like, here's a musical interlude with people just spinning around, and yeah. At the end of the day, it's fluffy. It's a very fluffy song. It's a very fluffy number, but it's that Summer Nights group bonding. Here's our character sort of moment. The part I like afterwards is when they're putting their shoes away at the rental. Johnny wants a kiss from Paulette and then wants a kiss from Stephanie as well for best score, best average. And she's like, I ain't no one's trophy. Oh, she ain't no one's trophy.
I ain't no one's trophy goose.
And I kiss who I want, when I want. I can kiss the next guy to walk through the door right there. And that's, again, what I'm sort of saying and what you're maybe tapping into with the Stephanie character. It's like, it's more she's trying to have a lot more agency. It's not just, I'm going to be defined by you guys. I'm sick of going along with what you guys are doing. I want to make my own decisions. And so Michael's the next guy to walk through, and she just plants one on him. And in this day and age, I do look at it now and go, oh, that's not okay. But in the context of the movie, it's quite effective of shutting everyone up, because you're not used to seeing a woman go out and be so provocative is not the right word, but I guess assertive in what she's saying and what she's doing, and being the one to make those moves. I guess this is still at the time where girls were to be wooed.
Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Stephanie, like she's just like effortlessly cool and like bold and like sexy. Like, I'm here for it. I'm just like, yes, girl.
Her red shirt and Sunny's combination in the bowling alley, I'm like, hell yeah. She got that fringe going. Love it.
Yeah, it's great.
As a kid, I know my mum hates this song, and so like that a little bit affected me, but I love A Girl for All Seasons. I like the concept and I like the execution of it all, and we hear it multiple times throughout the film of A Girl for All Seasons. But we get this first audition. Melissa, this cracks me up. Like, what are the people doing who wrote this film, but why? There's this piano scene, and so all the girls are standing around doing that, very, very Snow White, wishing well, everyone, all the sound fades back, and you just get Michael talking to Stephanie. I'm like, they're in the middle of singing right now. Like, you can't hear each other. Like, there's just no mystical bubble around the two of you that they can just have this private conversation. And they're auditioning. Like, why are you being so rude right now? Like, again, that's nitpicking, but it is funny. So Michael's trying to, for lack of better terms, horrible terms, but crack on to Stephanie. And she's just not having it. She's shutting it down. It's like, can I help? Can I see you after school? No, I'm busy. Oh, how about tomorrow? Busy. How about the day after tomorrow?
Busy.
So she finally has had enough. And that is when we get still one of my most favorite songs from any musical. Ella put it on Spotify. I was driving the other night and I can belt out every word to this. Across both movies, got to be a top three for me. Possibly it's on the podium. We get Cool Rider.
Oh my god, this by far is like it's the moment. Like she is incredible. Like she's straddling a ladder, you know.
Okay, she kicks. I'm wearing a dress, so I can't. But she kicks a leg over like this, and it's great.
No, I mean this song is just so much fun. Like if I'm being like really critical, it's a little silly, of course, but like I'm here for it. Like I love it. Like she wants a cool rider. It's also a little bit confusing. Like again, the choices that Grease 2 makes in regards to the songs of it all. It's like, okay, so can Michael hear this song? Can he not? Is everyone hearing this?
Everyone is hearing this. Everyone is hearing. I think I wrote in one of my reviews, it's like, I want to live, laugh, love out loud like Stephanie Zanoni at the end of Grease 2. Because she is the embodiment of dance like no one's watching. He can definitely hear her at the start, which is just so hilarious because obviously there'd be like no music playing. So then we get her running off doing her ladder scene. Her dancing is so good. Like they're going to know when he gets here because the ground will be shaking and she does like these great moves. As she's exiting the auditorium, one of the other T-Birds comes up and talks to Michael and she's still dooting like around the school, cool riding it. And they can obviously hear it. Like, okay, I don't. And then again, that's what just, it makes me love it. Yeah, this song, it's got such great vibe, great music. I get that it's about someone else, but it still feels empowering. It's a female rock song, which I think is pretty cool for the time. A cool, horrible term and phrase. And it's her saying what she wants out of life. Like, I think one of the lyrics is like, I don't want no ordinary boys coming on strong to me. They don't know what I'm looking for. They don't know what I need. I like that sort of feeling in our lead protagonist, and that's again why I love Stephanie Zanoni and Michelle Pfeiffer. So good in this movie. Anything she's doing, I'm living for. And she has the most perfect shade of red lip color as well. I'm going to add that in here while I'm on a roll.
This is the highlight of the film, I would say. Like this is my favorite moment, my favorite song, and my favorite character. So I will say the movie does kind of like just tonally kind of go down a bit for a while for me after this, because because I feel like the movie starts really strong and then we get the bowling song and then we get this song. Like it's like, okay, I am in it, and then it does kind of lose a little bit of steam. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I can definitely see that it plateaus a bit because we get a lot of Michael stuff at this point. Not that that's a bad side of the film, but it's growing that part. It's growing his relationship with the T-Birds because this is when he starts doing assignments for them. It's him learning to ride a motorcycle. It's more of the audition scenes within the school. So there's no other big moments song-wise for quite a gap. I think maybe Grease 2, one of the knocks it gets is, as you were sort of saying with the songs and the plot, it doesn't live in the 60s as much, or it doesn't live in the early 60s in the same way that Grease really lives in 59, and that whole soundtrack really reads complementary to one another. Maybe some of the songs are a bit more disjointed tonally, because then we get Who's That Guy, and that's just a real different one, and it's all the people around Rodell, like, who's that guy, where did he come from? Lorna Luft as Paulette gives like this really good, like, where did he come? Like, I don't, like, I love that. And some whispering and a bit of mystery.
No, I like this one because it's like, who's that guy? It's very snappy. Like mystery, but also I just think it's so funny that they're like, who's that guy? Because I'm like, it's Michael, obviously.
And we get the internal monologue. It was like, what would they say if they knew it was Michael? Looks to me like he can fly. But
I do love this. Like, I feel like the Cool Rider is like this superhero alter ego persona of Michael, which I love.
It is his own superhero. Like, it's this mythic character that's added to the Rydell. But it's also where you sort of see like the girls really are fawning over it, and the guys are starting to be like, what's going on here? Like, they're not so hot on the T-Birds anymore. The T-Birds aren't the coolest anymore because those girls are really into it. And afterwards, Stephanie stays behind for a cigarette and, you know, the cool rider comes up and lights it. And you get this shot of Michelle Pfeiffer looking down and then looking up. Oh, I love it. Then we move on to visiting Frenchie in the chemistry lab. Michael's there. And again, this is one of the things I like in the story is that you get in that duality. It's different to what we see in the first one where we don't see Sandy be who we see at the end. At the end, Michael is obviously midway through the movie playing these two different roles. He's playing Cool Rider and then he's himself at the same time. So it's still interesting that, you know, Stephanie is really responding to Cool Rider, but when it's just Michael in the chemistry lab, he's really awkward to talk to her and she's, again, quite catty. Like, what is it with the leader of the Pink Ladies? And they've just got the cattiness down pat. I like that Frenchie's our through line. She's come back to Rydell to get her chemistry and do her own beauty products. That's great.
Okay, I love the conversation that they have at the beginning. She's like, "Yeah, I'm at Rydell to like take these chemistry classes," and like Michael literally says, "That makes sense."
Makes sense.
Like, no, it doesn't. But I love that, like, he literally says that to her, and like that conversation happens of like, "This is why I'm here. That makes sense." And it's like, no. But sure, we'll go with it.
We see the Cool Rider show up one more time. It's when Stephanie's working at the garage, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, I like that we see her working. I like that we see her, like, in the greasy, she's in pants and, like, in the denim shirt and just working her butt off. And he shows up. And this is, again, where I really enjoy the context of the character. It's because there's something, it's not about the guy for Stephanie as well. In the same way, it's not just about the guy for Sandy. It's about the freedom. It's about the freedom to hit the road. It's the freedom to be anywhere else but in here. It's the freedom to do something different. It's the freedom about choice. Wide shots of them going down the highway. She's like wearing no protective gear inside. I'm like, ugh. But there is something about that sensation of wind in your hair on the road that is really liberating. And I think that's all that Stephanie wants us to feel liberated. But she does this sick move where she like crawls around on the front to his front. I'm like, oh, so dangerous but so cool.
I think Grease 2 definitely gets way too much kind of hate. I think it's a really fun movie. So if you haven't seen it, I think you should give it a chance. I just never gave it a chance until recently. And I really liked it. I think the Stephanie character is super strong, and I love Michelle Pfeiffer. Pretty much everything I've ever seen her in, she always kills it, and she definitely nails it here. Yeah, I do wish the songs were a little bit better kind of overall, but I think there's some really fun numbers, especially Cool Rider is a big highlight. I will say, if I'm comparing the romances between the two films, I actually do prefer the Grease 2 romance. I do think it's a bit stronger and more believable and maybe more long-lasting, possibly, because when I really think about Sandy and Danny, they're very toxic. And I don't love it, but I get so swept up with all the other things that I kind of just okay, whatever, a little bit.
Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta have fantastic chemistry, and that's what makes Danny and Sandy an enduring one. And then they've got the big songs like Summer Nights and You're One That I Want, so you think of that. But I agree, if you look at it under a microscope, not great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I would say, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John are the stronger, singers, stage presence. They have that it factor a bit more. Not saying that Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't, but when I'm thinking about the two, but then when I'm, if you put it under a microscope, it's okay, I kind of like the Grease 2 love story a bit more, and I like Stephanie more. So it's all very confusing, but I love Grease. I think it's great. And I think because Grease, I feel like it gets kind of a bad rap nowadays too. I don't know. I love both films. I think they're great. They're lighthearted for the most part, and they have great catchy songs, and I'm here for it. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I love at the top of the thing you said, like sleepover movie, and it still gives me that vibes. Like when I put it on, I'm smiling. I do the back-to-back, so I don't know if that's going to be your go-to from now on, if you're going to do the one after the other. It's a fun 3 hours. But there is something just really light, catchy, good time about it all. And I think there's just always going to be a place for that. Sometimes we really get bogged down in like the dramas and is it heavy enough and is this cinema, is this art, and like and we talk about that in musicals a lot as well. I think you really do get heavily weighted, like whether you like the more dramatic heavy musicals or you like the light poppy musicals. And this is just one of those staples. This is one of those ones that I feel like a lot of other things have been inspired directly from Grease, and there's just something about that teen experience that is just always really fun to relive. So I think that's why Grease will be enduring as opposed to some of the other ones that maybe dropped off in the 60s, 70s. So yeah, love Grease. I was really excited to kick off our year, kick off our musical month. If you have stuck with us this long, we'll drop that one now that we are doing a month of musicals, because again, it just brings us a lot of joy. So strap in for it. It's going to be great. Melissa, tell us where everyone can find us now.
Before I do, there's just 2 things I need to bring up before we wrap up, and I'm sorry. For Grease 2, I love the reproduction song. It is so funny and campy. Love it. I just had to give that a shout out. And then also, I found it really interesting that the opening weekend of Grease 2 had some really heavy hitters. So to me, it was almost like just bound to fail anyways. We have E.T.
Is that
Star
82
Trek
weekend?
2, The Wrath of Khan, Rocky 3, and Poltergeist.
I didn't know it was that.
It had
that's
no chance.
Just one of the most well-known ones in cinema history. So it had no chance. Another tidbit. Grease 2 directed by a woman, Patricia Birch. She was a choreographer. So she did a lot of the choreography on Grease and things like that. So extra points there, snaps.
Hell yeah. But to answer your question, you can find us on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Letterboxd, all those lovely places. And yeah, join us in on this month filled of musicals. And stay magical, everyone.
Just as the cat pushed his way in.
Okay, because I was like, I heard a cat.